Coming up in today's programme, a South London academy goes to an opera class, and a Suffolk middle school is invited to an orchestral rehearsal. Taking a group of students to see a symphony concert, let alone an opera performance, is a challenging idea. Today we are going to look at 2 school trips, each of which is designed to provide an inspirational first introduction to an otherwise daunting art form. John Skinner has brought some Year 10 students along to the London Coliseum for an Enjoy Opera workshop. He is Director of Music at Haberdashers' Aske's Hatcham College. The school is an academy with music as a specialism, but even so, John thinks that the first approach to opera needs to be carefully handled.
Just taking to the opera to educate them is no good. You've got to say, why am I doing this? Don't approach it like, I'm going to drop you in this bath of acid and it might hurt you a little bit. Please don't make a noise. If you pretend to be them, say, what do I want to see? You're on a winner.
For virtually all the students, this is their first exposure to live opera. Over the next few hours, they will be taking a tour backstage and watching a full performance of Rigoletto. First, however, they have to get in the mood. If they have any preconceptions about what to expect, Marie Coyle's workshop is about to surprise them.
Sing while you're moving, roar the grand old Duke of York, and 10,000 men, he marched them up to the top, he marched them down again.
I think it's very important to put the group at their ease, even though they know each other, they're in a new space. They're somewhere that's odd to them. Quite often they've come on a bus trip or, they've been sitting on a bus for ages. So we need to get everybody to be in the same place, both mentally and physically. Obviously we like to do it in a fun way, so we'll maybe do some games like singing the Grand Old Duke of York and changing it, and you're able to start introducing characters from the opera.
When they're up, and when they were down, and when they're only halfway up, they're neither up nor down.
The warm-up over, Marie gets straight down to analysing some of the opera's principal characters.
Some of the characters are not particularly nice people, but they might gain your sympathy, they might not. And it's an interesting thing to be considering as you're sitting watching it, how you're responding to all of the characters.
Joining the workshop to help interpret the characters are 2 members of the English National Opera's chorus.
The character of Rigoletto is a very complex character with a lot of contrasts, and he presents different facets to different people. He's the servant, he's the father, he's the avenger.
Is it an evil omen? A law that is madness.
Would you say that what he sang there was a song with a tune that you could recognise, or did it feel like it was lots of snatches of things?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it was like watching a train of thought. He's not thinking about one thing. First he's thinking about how people treat him, and then he's thinking about this curse, and then he thinks about his daughter. And I don't think you could really put that to one tune.
It's almost like the orchestra are really trying to get him into a tune, and then exactly as you say, it goes off. A lot of people say that this is very Shakespearean, which is that sort of train of thought and jumping about.
It's all the same stuff. That's what cross-curricular is. It doesn't mean watering down the subjects. It means then the kids, they love to see how it all fits.
Early on in Rigoletto, the audience gets its first glimpse of the protagonists in a lively party scene. Marie gets the Hatcham students to take on roles of some of the guests.
The party scene is in the opera itself is very lively and introduces a lot of the characters. And I wanted to encourage the young people to explore some of the characters who might appear, and also to think from the point of view of the choristers, who are on stage a lot without having anything to sing, and the idea of following through a character and responding to everything that's going on round about them.
3, 2, 1, freeze!
Very good. I think we should introduce Gilda.
Gilda, for young women of today, is quite an enigma, I think, almost. She's shut away by her father, who wants to protect her, so doesn't see anything of life apart from going to church every Sunday. She's an innocent, she's very naive.
It's really hard to explain to modern children what innocence is, because innocent nowadays sadly means thick. It just means unspoiled. She's an unspoiled girl. This girl, she's not thick at all, but she's confused and she's got this weirdo dad. Poor girl hasn't got a chance. I like the way in the workshop particularly he said, what do you reckon? Nice, horrible, what do you reckon of her? Is she a drip?
Comments there.
She just wants her dad to like open up to her and tell her things, but he's like, he keeps himself to himself and like, he just wants her to just stay like how she is. And
is that fair? Is that a good thing? Whatever your response is to what you see and what you hear is correct. Whatever your response is, even if somebody else says something that's the complete opposite to what you think. That's the brilliant thing about opera, about live theatre, is that everybody will have a different opinion. You've been sitting down for too long, you're about to get up. Right. So the words are...
Softly, softly, we move in to get her. We go, 2, 3, go.
Softly, softly, we move in to get her. Now's the moment when for our vendetta. He would mock us and put us in danger. He would laugh at us, now it's his time.
Very good, now we can do...
Obviously, in opera, you have to know the music. And there's only one way to do that, which is teach the notes, teach the words.
Opera, as an art form, is not just about standing singing. Marie devises a variation on a familiar children's game to introduce an element of drama.
I just wanted to use an activity that would stop them focusing quite so much on how they sounded.
Oh, I saw you move, I saw you move, I saw you move. Back you go.
That makes their singing come more alive because they're not just standing thinking about how they sound.
They weren't talked at, they were doing something really quickly. And that's what you do, you have to get the kids to do things. They don't want to be passive, they want to be active. And that's why the workshop was so good. They will remember that.
The workshop over, Hatcham College joins the audience for the evening's performance. Whilst the London Coliseum is a familiar venue for opera goers, Lowestoft is not the most obvious place to find the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. The RPO is on a mission to bring its music to wherever it can in the United Kingdom. Supporting the concerts, the orchestra has an active educational programme. All the schools in the area have been invited to send small groups of pupils to join them at the Marina Theatre. Among these is a Year 8 group from Harris Middle School.
I couldn't believe my luck when such a high quality free resource was placed in my lap. They have the opportunity to experience world-class performance without having to pay for it because the RPO invites us into their rehearsals. It's made it very easy for me to allow the children to relate to something because it's in their town.
Andrew, hello, how are you? How's your brother these days?
I'm a great believer that children who are dismissive of classical music generally are dismissive because they don't know what, in fact, they're dismissing. When I'm trying to encourage children to either study it in the classroom or take up an instrument, I stress the fact that they don't know if they like pineapple unless they've tasted it. By all means, tell me you don't like it after you've tried it, but at least give it a whirl. Almost across the board, the children found what they saw exciting. The Enigma Variations began the programme. I gave them some information about the piece, only there and then. I didn't do a big build-up before the rehearsal because I didn't want them to feel that it was a lesson.
I find that I'm listening to them and just forgetting about, I forget why I'm here. I forget that I'm with you and just listen to them because it's just...
Well, thanks.
That's all right.
I picked out some of the features of the work, simply so that when they listened, they'd be able to say, oh yes, fresh in my mind, I recognise that, and I can learn a little from it and get a good feeling by the fact that I know something.
Could we have variation 9, please, 47? And could we hear the triangle exactly before the beat? Ta-dum. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Ta-ta-tee-dum, tee-dum, tee-dum, pa-ta, every time in each bar, yeah? 48, please. And. Yeah, great, fantastic. If we can hear it so clearly before the rest of the orchestra, thank you.
It's good for children who learn an instrument to realise that when professional performers are rehearsing, they are having to practice and study and rework and be told that they're doing something wrong in the same way that the children do when they're performing in school. Some of them were very surprised to see professionals being taken apart.
We just try 51. I think probably it's quite nice if you play that mezzo forte so we really hear it.
A performance of the Enigma Variations, although it's a well-known piece to players of the RPO, can sound very different with different conductors.
Now forte!
The advantage of hearing a rehearsal rather than just a straight performance is because they can hear the instruction from the conductor to the musicians, breaking the piece down, analysing it, playing it, replaying it, changing the tempi, so they can see how a performance will build up.
Tempo! Crescendo! Lovely, fantastic. Thank you.
I aim to achieve little more than giving children who would otherwise have no exposure to world-class performance exactly that. I hope that they'll be stimulated by seeing pure excellence on our doorstep.